And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel birthday live. I have a little bit of a surprise for you. I have a crew of special guests waiting backstage to come on and say hello to everybody. But I want to just say thank you for coming. It's been a wonderful year on YouTube. My life has changed in so many different ways. I met a lot of great friends. And so this is just sort of a celebration of that. I'm going to do my birthday giveaway drawing, and we're going to have a little chat. We're actually, oh, let me turn this down because I hear myself in the back. So let's say hello to our guest. Let's bring our guest in, shall we? Look
Hey,
at this
everyone.
Mount Rushmore. This is classic. Well, thanks, guys, for joining me here. So I just want to say thank you, Chris, Kelly, Simon. We have Jade from Tarot Your Truth, Mendy, and Chris Yao from Barely Balanced Tarot. And of course, hello to everybody in the chat. And my main man, Chris Kelly, here is going to read off the chats. The people in the
Yep,
chats.
so we've got Simon from the Hermits Cave. Hi, Simon. We've got Sandra from the Whispering Well. We've got Kimberly Mayer. We've got Mendy. And we've got the lovely Elle. Jackie Jacaranda's here. And we've got more Sandra. Let's see. We've got Robin from Toadstool Tarot. Chris, who is here with us. Lovely Jamie Kelly's here. Hi, Jamie. And some dafty called Elemental Cartomancy.
Oh, get him out.
Yeah, kick him out.
Stay away from that guy.
Jade and Melissa Zupan is here. Hi, Melissa. I was never very good at this. I don't know why we selected me to do this, guys. I always get
well, you're better than me, so you just have to be better than me.
Hi, Diane. The lovely hen is here. And that's as far as I can see. I don't see anyone else, but if I've missed anybody, as per usual, hi, hello.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. And so what we've decided to do here, because we tried to organize it in a way that it would be entertaining and fun. So we're going to take turns doing. We actually resurrected the. Let's see if I can remember the tag now. First, last, always tag, which is a 3-year-old tag, and I believe it was started by Christine and Celeste. Am I right about that, Simon? Which they were the originators of it, but I don't believe they have a channel anymore. Actually, I tried to find the video, which was linked in some of the old videos, and I couldn't find them. But there were a whole bunch. So, and I know this had a few different rounds. So we're bringing it back, and we'll hope that you also participate and do a VR. So this is sort of a VR on a mass scale. I also want to mention to Chris Yao, it's his very first live ever. So very excited to have Chris here for his very first live. And thanks again for joining me. So I think because of time, for time's sake, I think we should probably just get right into this and start. So I'm going to start off. So the tag is first, last, always. So your first deck purchased, the last deck that you received or purchased, and then the deck that you always grab for. And so for me, it's very easy. The first one, this is so this isn't the original box, but it is. Hold on, let me do this. So sorry, guys. So this isn't the original box. I had to sort of do a makeshift box. I got one of those boxes from MakePlayingCards.com because the other box was falling apart, and I sort of put this one together. But this is the early 90s version of the yellow box Rider-Waite-Smith. And I got this deck when I was about 11 or 12. And I've told that story many times before, but this is the one with the copyright, but it's like the smaller copyright. I don't know if you guys can see that. My lighting here is a little weird, but it's just a traditional yellow box Rider-Waite-Smith. So, but brings back a lot of memories because I think this is the deck that I had. Like I said, I told the story many times, but I had to get rid of it because a friend's parents didn't like that I had it. So I threw it down the sewer well, which was awful. But I was able to find this, a few months later. So, or many years later, a few months ago. So thanks to Brant, actually. So I guess for the next one, I think we're going to go down the line here. Chris Kelly, is that all right with you to go? 'Cause you're
Yeah,
next in
fire
line.
away.
Okay.
So my first was also a Rider-Waite Smith. It's this one, and let's see if we can angle it so that we can actually see what it is. It's the I always feel I need to inverted commas this because it doesn't say Smith on it, but it's the original Rider-Waite Tarot deck Rider-Waite Smith. So it is the one that everybody hates, but I'm going to show you this because I was looking at it today and I don't think that it's as bad. Like, I got this kind of early 2010, 11, 12 kind of time. So there's my full. I don't know if the colouring is as bad as what the kind of current printing is. It actually doesn't look too bad to me there. I don't know if somebody can whisper from the ether whether it is really bad and I'm just that used to it, or
Simon's the expert on that. So
it looks a lot better than the current blotchy one that you get from
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, so yeah, I mean, this was the first one I'd got. I really like it. I know that some of the cards, like the High Priestess, there she is. How often do you say a card and then actually find it? So the colouring in the High Priestess isn't the best. The robes have got this kind of greeny kind of colour, which I'm not a big fan of. But I mean, the cardstock's nice. It's like kind of slightly laminated, but it's still kind of, don't know, quite slidey. So yeah, that's my first.
All right, and we got Simon up next.
Okay, so
can we guess, Simon?
yes.
Is it the
I know,
one
actually.
JJ Swiss? Was that your first deck?
Can I guess?
Yeah, you
It's
can get
one JJ Swiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking before I came on, because I know a lot of you guys are doing like Marseille study groups and you're really into Marseille decks, and I'm like, I'm going to be flying the flag for Pam's artwork here in the US. But actually, yeah, my first deck was the one JJ Swiss, and it's interesting because it was 1987, so we're talking like 33 years ago. I was 16. And this deck, and it even says on it, the most popular tarot fortune telling deck for card readers. And at the time, in the 1980s, particularly in the shop that we went into with my friends, there was this one or the Rider-Waite Smith. And because this one advertised as being the most popular deck, and the images were familiar to me because of a show that was big over here at the time called Tales Unexpected, where these images were part of the title sequence at the beginning of this show that ran for years every week. They were really familiar to me. And I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. So my version was in a big box. It had one of those big pull-out sheets with the Celtic cross. But it did have this little box on the inside. The little book is written by Stuart Kaplan from US Games, and again on the back it credits him as being the tarot authority of our time. But these images, I really like them, and I bought this deck again when I got a YouTube channel and everybody was talking about first decks and things, and I thought, I wonder if I could dig them out. And this deck is actually from the 1980s. And I just adore it. And when I opened them up and looked at them again with a kind of a 30-year window between them, it's like, if you find your childhood book in the attic or something years later, and you open them up and you see the images, and it just like transports you back in time. Just having a look at these images again after 30 years just took me straight back to being that 16-year-old kid full of wonder and awe, the mystery of the tarot. And it will always have a special place, even though fast forward to 2006 and I got an RWS deck, which then became my true passion. This one, for nostalgic reasons, is the deck, because it's my first one that I learned with, and I love it. And Mendy, you've mentioned this quite a bit recently. I know you've got a love of the Besselson decks, and it
I
has
do.
Juno and Jupiter. So so it is based on Besselson. But the image, I mean, that image is so iconic if you are somebody of my age in the UK, and that image, because they were on the, as I say, the title sequence of Tales of the Unexpected. So that's my first deck.
Really, really wonderful. Thank you, Simon. And so we have Chris Yell next. You ready, Chris? Hopefully. Hopefully you're ready. I probably should have asked you first before I put the big screen on. Oh, hold
You're
on.
muted.
You got to unmute, bud.
All right. I was saying that I don't have my actual first deck. I'm not sure what happened to it, but this is a 10 version of the Morgan Greer that I got to replace it. So the first tarot I ever touched and used was RWS. A coworker of mine read cards, and she brought them in. We used to work overnight together, and we were the only ones in there. So I used her cards, but when I bought my first deck, I got Morgan Greer. And I still love it. It's got such a 70s vibe to it, the colors, but I think one of the reasons I like it is it feels so intimate because it's so close up. And some of the faces are just so cute. So that's my first. All good?
Oh, okay. So we got Mendy up. That's really a wonderful deck, though. It took me so long to get that deck, and I finally got it. And I actually do like it. I should work with it more, though.
I really want to get a vintage one. I got a vintage Aquarian, but I'd really like to get a vintage Morgan Greer.
Funny. I've got a 80s Morgan Greer. I would like to get. I don't have any Aquarian. I would like to get an Aquarian. I don't have my first deck that I had from back in the 90s. But the next deck that I had is the same that Chris has, and I no longer have the blue box that it came in. And it's the Rider-Waite original too. And Chris, I think mine is from like 2001 maybe even 99. I know this is how I know. I graduated law school in 99, and I got it at some point in time after that. So it was within the next year or two after that. And my yellows look darker than yours. So yours definitely looks better than mine, I think.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I've had this, for about 20 years now. But I don't have my. And yes, Robin, it is the Ugg boots of Rider-Waite, but it's not because it's not cute. It's not cute. I would say the Blushing Fool is the Ugg boots of Rider-Waite because it is cute.
All right, so we got Jade. Hey. Hello, Jade.
Hello. So
Jade's in the forest.
Sorry?
You're in the forest.
Actually, we have snow outside, so I'm glad I'm not in the forest right now. But everyone has great decks for first decks. I have my first deck was the Tarot de la Nuit, which is a Low Scarabeo deck. And I bought it because the version of the Rider-Waite Smith that I first saw when I was starting to learn just had those eye-searing yellows, and I just couldn't deal. And I saw someone do a walkthrough of this, and I decided I like this imagery a lot better. It's I'm not sure that I would recommend it as a first deck because it's definitely got, it doesn't have the same symbols that you have on the Rider-Waite Smith. I mean, there's elements of it there, as you can see in the High Priestess, but there's also the other issues I have with this deck are that it's it's all skinny white models. There's no diversity of any kind. But I really like it, and I'll never get rid of it just because it is I don't know what happened there, just because it is my first deck. But don't know why
Beautiful.
some of these cards are backwards. So Tarot de la Noir. Tarot de la Nuit, sorry.
So the next part of the tag is the last. And so interestingly enough, I received a deck today, actually about 20 minutes ago. I went down, a few minutes before the live started, and my mailman dropped this off. So I opened it up really quickly, but I haven't really even looked or spent any time with this because obviously I just got it. So it's the Druid Craft Tarot, which is a classic. Philip Carr-Gom, I believe is his name. And I do know that he's an authority with Celtic spirituality. And I haven't read any of his books yet, but this is something that's been on my list. And I actually got this for Neem because Neem Essence 818 threatened to send me to the convent if I didn't get it. So, I'm back in the family name. Okay.
I'm happy she doesn't have to spank you with a 2x4 now.
Yeah, exactly. She would too. But this is really, really nice because it comes in Llewellyn for some reason is making these really nice boxes. But the cardstock is still like a little on the thin side, but this is actually not bad. But the box is really, really top notch. And it comes with a really big book. I was told to get the kit version, not just the cards, because the book is like crucial. And I know a lot of people have probably this is like one of those decks with, I know a few people that it was their first deck, but for me, it's obviously a latecomer. But I love Celtic decks, and so I decided to get it. It comes, well, let me show you. The two comes sort of like in two compartments, and they're fairly large, the cards. So they look about tarot length, but they are slightly wider. But they're really just beautiful images. And the cardstock, these are the backs. The cardstock is actually not like super thin like you would expect from Llewellyn. They're kind of decent. They're not like real thick, but they're adequate, I would say. So I'm really looking forward to looking through this. I remember this is one of the images that I saw on Amazon and was like, really like the Magician. But I know that most of you are probably familiar with this. And the Empress too. So you have like a pregnant Empress, woman with child, very earthly and beautiful. I really like it. Here we go. I'll show you one more. So that is my last, and we got Chris Kelly now with his last deck.
Chris Kelly, who had himself muted because he was drinking tea. Right, before I talk about my last, I noticed that it looks as though like 5 out of 6 of us don't have our original first deck. Unless Jade, was that your actual original deck?
Yeah, that was my first one.
Right, so it looks like Jade is the only one who's actually got the physical first deck that she actually had. The rest of us seem to have had to replace it. So it's quite interesting. It's funny, I think me and you, Simon, were saying recently that seems to be a thing where a lot of people seem to kind of like just lose their very first deck along the way. So just an observation. My last deck I got last week was the Urban Tarot. So last week was Transgender Awareness Week, and I wanted to respect it by buying a product that was actually made by a transgender person. I think I said on one of my videos, like I think that's sometimes the most powerful way that we can support people is by actually kind of buying their products, especially people who are underrepresented in, the creators kind of sphere. So it's a really nice deck. It is absolutely mahoosive. Now I've got quite big hands, and I struggle to shuffle this thing. I've got to get out the pterodactyl claws, as Ben calls it. The images are stunning. Quite a good one to maybe trim the top and bottom off. My lighting's terrible. You can't really see it properly, can you? So that's the High Priestess. It is Thoth based. It follows the Thoth system, but and it still has that kind of Thoth style about it. But I would say it's a wee bit more illustrative than the Thoth. So that was the Two of Wands. And yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of working with it more. I've not worked with it an awful lot, but yeah, it definitely is it the Temperance card, with the nod to the Rider-Waite Smith, and then because this is called art in the Thoth system, and in this, although you can't see it. But yeah, that was the last one that I received.
Very nice. Okay, and we got Simon.
And I love that deck, Chris. I think it's such a good deck, even though it's a Thoth. I really. So I was glad you got it. I kind of spoke to Justin about this earlier because I need to cheat a little bit because I checked actually. I thought I'd received 3 decks, which would have been really boring for everybody, but there's actually 2 that I got on the same day and they came last, but I uploaded the videos a day apart because I wanted them to have their own kind of walkthrough. But the first one is my last deck is the 1909 deck. Actually, I'm trying to remember its full title. This is the box. And it was actually my friend Justin who made this possible by sending it to me. It's the 1909 Art Restoration deck. And Melissa has designed a tin for it as well because this box is, well, it even shows you inside how to make the box. It just folds out from a piece of cardboard. But I really wanted this one because I do have as I mentioned before, this one, which is the study deck for Tarot course, which is based on the PAME. And this is based on the original scans from the 1909 Roses and Lilies. And when I first did a walkthrough of this and first had a look at it, I wasn't disappointed because I really like it and I like it for what it is. But comparing it next to the PAME, which came out the year later, 1910, I thought, oh, this isn't as nice. But I've kind of put my 1910 PAME one to one side, and I've been working with this since I got it last week, and I'm really, really loving it. It's got really, as you can see here, a really sort of grainy, and it just feels more sort of vintage. The cardstock is a little bit thinner than the one from Made Playing Cards, but yeah, I'm really jiving with this. So that was also on the same day, but I uploaded this one first. And I believe, Mendy, you got this, I think. This is the Tarot de Marseille Weight. Which is from France. So you can order it through Amazon France. I don't speak French, and every time I order from there, same with the Par Polka, or when I did the Tarot Noir, I'm like, I'm hoping this is working. And then I keep getting all these emails, and I'm like, please be telling me that the deck's on its way, because I've got no clue. But people in the Hermits Cave helped me out. I copied and pasted. I'm like, what is everybody? What am I being told here? And I was like, your deck's on its way. Don't worry. But this uses, it's one artist, and the majors are Marseille style, as you can see here for the sun. But the minors are RWS art, as in it's not Pixies art, but it's, a redrawing. So as you can see, like the 10 of Cups here. But what I really love about this is the fact that there is no jarring between the two systems because it's the same artist. There is that sort of lovely cohesiveness all the way through the deck. And I'm really loving this. This and Silicon Way Shimmering Veil so far are my favourite decks of 2020. I'm loving it. Possibly the Wicked's Wisdom is creeping in there, but this deck in particular, I just adore. So that's my 2 latest decks. I've got to show them both because they both came on the same day.
Yeah, that deck is amazing. I also got that, and I literally couldn't put it down for days.
Yeah,
and there's a funny story too. Mendy and I went to an event, and Rachel Pollack was there, and she showed Rachel, and Rachel went nuts. Like when she saw it, she was so excited. She wanted the information to buy it.
Really?
Uh,
Well, that's
but
cool.
I'm excited about the 1909 too, because I know that there's a few different versions. Well, I just ordered the US Games version, and then I know that there's another one coming out by, I think, Llewellyn.
Oh, was it Llewellyn?
Yeah, so they must be doing that a lot. They're, everybody's coming out with their 1909 version now.
Yeah.
So we got Chris. Oh, hello, Chris.
Hello. So I'm gonna cheat like Simon did because I got these two in on the same day from Giordano Berti.
Oh, cool.
Yay!
Okay. So I'll start. The Kuroki Viragno is from around 1835. There's some debate on that, but one of the things I love about Berti's decks is they come with really nice little booklets with a lot of historical information about the region, the time period, so it gives you context for the decks and everything, so it's really cool. But I'll show the Viragno. Am I even saying that right? Virgnano.
Vergnano.
This is, oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I won't be able to remember or say that again. So this is a death card, and this is pretty much like I was looking at it, and then when I came across this, I'm like, I have to have the death card. The backs are really nice. The paper is it feels kind of like the Il Meneghello. It's like naked paper, but it has a little more of a satiny sort of sheen to it. But feels really nice. It's really light. It sounds nice when you shuffle. It's got all that tactile quality to it. But I am in love with Marseille, but I am absolutely just enchanted with the Italian decks from the 1800s. There's just something about them I just love. My first one was a Soprafino from Il Meneghello, and I don't know if that's just one of the most beautiful decks, I think, ever. But this one, I hope I come across the fool, because he's like a big fluffy butt fool. I don't know where he is, but oh, there he is. There's the fool. He's got a butterfly. They started putting so much more detail into cards in Italy in the 1800s because they started using the etching process, and so they were able to start getting more details into them. And then the next one is, I knew I would love it because Mendy fell in love with it, and I've already told her. She just needs to start buying 2 of everything she gets and send me a bill at the end of the month. So here's the backs to the Orientali, and I don't know if I'm saying that right either. And this is from around 1845. And like I said, I knew I would love it, but when I got it in, it just shot to the top of my list. And this is a death card from it, and he's just the cutest. I want to snuggle with him. Like, he's so cute. And this is another one that sold the deck for me. But so this is the etchings. The artwork is from 1845, but the colors were done by watercolor by a modern artist. So that's one of the reasons the colors are just so really cool. But I had seen this deck before Mendy got it, and I was worried that, a Victorian sort of era Italian deck featuring whatever they thought of people from the East might be kind of weird, but the treatment is just very honest and authentic. I know that it's not authentic, but there doesn't seem to be any. It's just beautiful and artfully done. It's not like poking fun at anybody. And Mendy, I think you were the one that said this is a very modest deck. You can't actually see her breast there, but the courts the suits all have sort of a color theme. So the swords are kind of blue, and you can really see it in the court cards. And that sort of persimmon color for the red. It's just so rich.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Let's hopefully see some more of the. Yeah, we go. So those two came in on the same day, and I have one other rarity deck, and that's the Perrin. And I got that one. I bought that one from Mendy actually, and I love it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had myself muted and I was I was talking because there was a really loud motorcycle. Would you mind showing the box for the Oriental? Though I just wanted to see that because
Yes.
his boxes seem very interesting. He calls them art boxes, right?
He usually sells, I think, 2 versions of most of his decks. So you can get, this is like sort of the standard box. I don't know what he calls it. I think he still calls it an art box. And then there's like sort of a deluxe version that kind of opens like a book, like a clamshell. But these are, I like these better anyway. So, and they're a little bit cheaper. So.
I need to get some of those. He's been on my radar for a while. So, okay, Mendy.
Lame bag, Chris, with that.
What's that?
Does it come in the gold lame bag?
Yes, all of them do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to get some of his decks. I always look at them. Oh, sorry.
And Justin, also, like I mentioned, the booklets that come with them, he does such a good job. Like he's worked for a tarot music. I don't know. He's a historian himself, like scholar, I think. And so the information in the booklets make the deck, like you love the deck, you get the deck in, but then you read what he has to say about it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm holding this in my hand now. It's like such a piece of history, and so it's really cool that he goes into, because most of us who are into Marseille and old pip decks are into it because of the history too. So it's really cool to get that along with the deck. You don't have to go hunting it for yourself. So
absolutely. Well, thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming back to Mendy. You're muted, Mendy. You're muted. It's okay.
That Oriental is my favorite. And his cardstock is amazing. It's very underrated for the deck. I think of all the decks, the people that do deck restorations and deck reproductions, his cardstock is some of the best. So my last is my Lombard Tarot, and it came from Germany, so it's all in German. The book is all in German. And I just received this the other day. Oh my God, Saturday. I think it was Saturday. And this is also an Italian deck. This is from like supposedly 17 something, but I have not been able to verify that date. I've just read that in some old tarot history forums and message boards. So I really don't know if that's an accurate date or not. It was like 17. I think I saw 1790, something like that.
you can tell it's an old one because they're still using the wood block, I think, aren't they?
Yeah. This is definitely a wood block, and this is the deck that the Marshmallow Marseille is based on. So it's and it's funny because I was looking at your the first deck that you showed, Chris, is that there's a lot of similarities. Like look at the pants on the fool.
Yeah, I'm excited to get this one in because it's so early. You can start to see that transition from Marseille to the later, like early mid to 1800 Italian deck. So it's like a really cool bridge between them.
Yeah. And the deck had the skulls versus the heads, like you see in a traditional Marseille. But the colors are just gorgeous. It's got all the spots, which we have been speculating what all the spots are about. Chris has come up with some very interesting theories all on his own.
I love this deck.
I look at it and I just see spell work. Like someone's dotting that with oil with their fingertips. Or it was some crazy little kid that was just having fun.
Lord.
I think it went by Tarot Trieste, right? Was it the Tarot of Trieste?
Well, right. So right. So it is the only identifying factor on it is the Two of Cups, which says it is by Angelo Balla in Trieste.
Right.
So that's the only identifying markings on here. The Two of Coins didn't have anything on it. So there was no dating or any other names. Because oftentimes you would see the engraver on the Two of Cups and the artist that created it on the Two of Coins, but it doesn't have anything on the Two of Coins. So there's very little information online other than a lot of speculation and things. Now, Paul, I don't have the book, but I read somewhere from a few years ago that Paul, is it Hassan?
Houston.
Houston? He has an excerpt for this deck in his book, but it's minimal. It's like a paragraph. So so I mean, with all the research that he put into his book, that's the most he got out of it. I don't know that we're ever going to know all that much about it.
I'm excited.
And
Sorry.
Like I said, the book is all in German.
I'm excited to get that one in, Mendy, because I want to compare it to the Giacomo Zoni from Bologna. I call it the Zoni Bologna. I call it the Zoni Bologna.
Yeah, because this is a Bologna style.
Yeah, and they're so similar, and it has the dots on it too. And,
yeah, all the Bologna style decks do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious to see if you get a deck or just a book or
I
just
know.
a deck or how it comes. Because
if I don't, it's your fault.
Yeah, even back in the 90s, there were, when they were trying to find that deck. Well, it was it was published in 97, and I saw discussions all the way back to 99, people trying to get their hands on it. And some people would just get a deck, some people would just get a book, and some people would get both because they were hard to come by.
I really love that deck. I've been hunting for that. You're very lucky to find it because
I know.
I've been looking for it, and it's really cute. I just wish like Pablo Robledo or somebody would redo it.
Yeah.
Somebody like that. You know what I mean? So Jade, we're coming to you next. Jade, are you ready?
Sure.
You're cracking up over there. I see you.
I am, because Chris stole my thunder.
Yeah.
Deck I got, which is the Tarot Orientali, or Oriental Tarot. So I won't show the whole deck, but I'm so in love with this deck. It was in my cart for well over a year, and I finally got it. I love how all the kings have these little umbrellas, and I love the colors. I love the cardstock is amazing. Look at this.
Oh wow, look at that.
It's just so freaking cute. And I think I saw that Giordano Berti actually has a sale on right now. I don't know how long it goes, but
yeah, a holiday sale.
Yeah. There's the sword, so it's not a traditional Tarot de Marseille arrangement, right? But that doesn't bother me at all. And then the one that I got, I think it was just a couple of days apart, was the Marcella Robledo.
Yay!
Which, so happy to get in that last batch. This one took a couple of months to get to me, but I love the colors. One of my big issues with the Tarot de Marseille was having the primary colors all on the same card. My brain just couldn't deal. But I really like this, like the how Pablo has rendered the colors on this deck, and it's also not a stark white background, which I really like. There's the backs, so pretty. Anyway, and the cardstock also is awesome. I love it.
The blue in those cards are gorgeous, Jade. You know, it's like a duck head blue. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
I
love it.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, I look at the blues a lot.
Can you show the devil card?
Yeah. Just give me a sec here.
I love Pablo's devil card. Eyes and faces for days.
My favorite devil.
Sorry, just bear with me for a sec because they're not in order.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not too sorry, because we're going to see the devil card.
Those colors are something, though. I mean, to see them in person, the camera does them no justice. Like when I opened them up and I was looking through them, I was blown away.
Oh, look at that. Gorgeous.
So I don't know. Somebody can tell me who's a TDM specialist, but I don't know if this is type 1 or type 2 or really what the
I'm
difference
pretty
is.
sure it's just his own sort of
Yes,
take on the devil.
that
Yeah.
that is Pablo's merging of the
Yeah.
two, because the type 1 has the full face in the belly, the eyes and the mouth,
Right.
whereas that is got kind of the face on the torso, like spread out. So that's
Yep.
Pablo's own thing.
Yeah. So those are my latest decks.
Chris just said in the chat that he's outnumbered by Marseille geeks. I'm like in the middle, okay? I love RWS, and in fact, and most of my decks are RWS. In fact, all of them are really variations. So we're on to Always, our Always deck. And so I had a few I could choose, but I went with the Carol Hertzer Illuminated original. This is one of my all-time favorite decks, but it's one that I reach for like a lot. For one, because it's in a bag and it's just kind of easy to just pull out, and I just keep the basket under. But I do use this a lot, and it's really, really beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful decks that I have in my collection. And the bag that she chose for this was really cool too. It's like got like all this astrological stuff. Most of you are familiar with Carol Hertzer. This isn't my first deck from her. I actually gifted that to a really good friend, but this was my second from her. And this comes in, so this is the title card. I hope you can see. I just have to turn it. And they come signed also. As you can see, that's January 1st, 2020, which is cool because that's my anniversary. And yeah, this one's a bit thicker than her average deck because this is done on the thicker cardstock. She would, when I messaged her, I believe this is the first one that she ever did like that, because when I was messaging her about this deck, she sent me an email and said, I've been experimenting with thicker cardstock, but I don't think they're shuffleable. And I said, well, I don't really care because I have monster hands, and I'll figure out how to shuffle it as long as it's not like a disaster. And so she was like, okay, well, and then she did it and she sent them to me, and I just thought they were wonderful. So it's real thick cardstock. One of my issues with the Carol Hertzer decks is that they were like very on the thin side, and this one just came out perfect. And you can see the colors; they're so beautiful. And this is her original, like so you have the Illuminated 2. This is one of her originals. I think it is the original that she first did. And then she came out, I think, with the Illuminated 2 and some of the other variations of the collection. But I just love this. I mean, this is one of my favorite decks. It's hard to pick an absolute favorite because and you go through phases, but this is one I would definitely never get rid of. I could never. And the colors are just phenomenal. And I also like that they're borderless too, There's the Nine of Pentacles. And they have plain yellow backs. These are actually hand painted backs, which I'm told that she doesn't do anymore. Actually, I don't think she does them anymore because she's had some issues with them. Like, I think, if she doesn't get it like perfect, I don't know, like if a piece of dirt or something gets in there, then the lamination starts to come apart. So she just said, look at the Magician. It's really, really great. So it's different face. It's not completely Pixie's artwork. It's sort of like got like a a clone kind of vibe to it. But and you'll see that in her decks too. Like not all of her characters are always the same. Like the Illuminated and the Illuminated 2 have different fools. I always thought that the Illuminated 2 was just a variation of the Illuminated, like just maybe with the black borders but actually they're different paintings altogether. So. Yep. So this is my Always deck that I chose. And ironically, my first video ever, wait, let me just show you the death card. My first video ever, which is the one that I marked private. I should probably put that back up, but it was a Carol Hertzer walkthrough, and it was the one that I gifted to a friend, but just really, really beautiful deck. So that is my Always. So now we're on to Chris Kelly for your Always deck, Chris.
I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by this. It is Mog Boots, my lightseers. Mendy's never going to live that down. It's nice sturdy box, good old chat test. I've edged it in green. It's the what do you call it, the mass market edition that I've got. So it didn't come edged, so I edged it myself in green. It's turned out okay. To be honest, anything could happen to this deck and it would still be my favourite. I just love everything about it. It's borderless. I love how it's got like most of the cards seem to have this swirly kind of like, I don't even know what it is around it, but it just creates this kind of slight bordered effect, but not really. The handwritten titles that Chris Ann wrote herself, love them. I'm now all for handwritten titles on cards. Funny, the Hermit's probably the only card that it's probably my least favourite card, but I still really like it, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of looks to me as though she's floating in midair. And I know that's not, I think she's supposed to be sitting on the cliff, but I don't know, it just kind of looks funny to me. But yeah, everything about this deck, the colours, the borderless, the diversity. Although I suppose, like, I suppose you can always pick holes in the deck, can't you? I suppose this one could maybe be accused of being quite body beautiful, maybe. But still, I love it. Oops. Would help if I was showing you and not just the top border of the cards. Full, really like that it's like a different take on it. She's kind of throwing herself backwards. It's like, I always say, it reminds me of, the trust exercises that people do. So it's like trust the universe type thing. Yep, just everything about it. On Chris Ann's website, so you can just kind of Google the Lightseers Tarot, and she's got a website for it, and it basically has the full meaning. So I think with the indie version of this deck, there was a much bigger, thicker book that came with it, and it had a lot more info on all the cards. And for the mass market, it was obviously made into like a medium weight book type thing. But on her website, it has all of the information, tells you about why she selected the images. It goes into detail about, how the images are interpreted, from her point of view. I've learned so much about the tarot just from this deck, just from that, reading what she's got to say about this deck. So yeah, it's my favourite, and it always will be, I think. So yeah, that's me. That's my always.
Very good. And we're coming to Simon next. Thank you, Chris.
Won't be looking at the chat. Everybody's saying we're not going to buy any decks, but
Can we guess, Simon?
yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Is it like Chris said? Is like this isn't going to come as a surprise to anyone, because we all know, if you watch on our channel like we watch Chris, how much like the Lightseers means to him. And my always deck is my soul deck, and it hasn't changed for a few years now. So it is, of course, the Dishant Pool. And I mean, basically, the RWS is my soul deck. It's the one I really studied the tarot and learned the tarot system and be able to read cards with. And I've said so many times that when I got this deck, which is the version that Chris showed as his first deck, was my first RWS deck back in 2006. I was put off by the saturation and the blotchiness of it, but there was a familiarity to these images, and I believe now, having worked with them, that's because archetypes are familiar to us through things like collective consciousness. But there was just something, there was like a remembering that I have experienced a few times in my life, but I feel safe with this deck. And as somebody who provides tarot readings for people, tarot consultations with people, and anybody that's ever bought a reading from me will know that I only ever read for other people with the RWS, because I feel I'm in safe hands when I'm working with this. It really is a tool. I see it as an extension of myself, and that sounds a little bit woo, but what I mean by that is I think we'd all agree that the tarot, you know, is 78 stages of life, 78 different emotions, 78 different aspects of our personalities. So when I work with this deck, I just feel so comfortable with it. And this version in particular, the Blushing Fool, the reason why I love it so much, it's not so much that there's no copyright. That's a plus for me. And I think we're all pleased now that to see that US Games have decided to start to remove their copyrights with their latest deck that's coming out. But it is the tactile experience, because this is so soft, so soft. There's no lamination at all. This is from 1971. The line work is crystal clear. It is so sharp. The colors are beautiful. This deck next year will be 50 years old. There isn't. I got really lucky. I got this for £39, and there isn't a blemish on it at all. It's like it's just been left in a drawer for 40 plus years, however it was before I got it. But this is my always deck, because there's often been that tag going around, hasn't there? You know, if your house is on fire, you can only grab one deck. Which would you grab? And for me, it would be the Blushing Fool. And it's not just because it's a Blushing Fool, which makes it rare. It's the fact that the feel of it, the sharpness of it, the crispness of it, and it's just the whole tactile experience of shuffling this deck, holding this deck, and just really appreciating Pix's artwork, in my opinion, at its finest. It's just delicious. No surprises.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I actually got my first Blushing Fool a few weeks ago, and I got to tell you, it's really beautiful. It's very similar to you know, the other blue box that I have, which is actually almost the same, except that one has the blushing. But it's nice to have the blushing, though. You know what I mean?
I've got a backup blue box. The only difference is one isn't a Blushing Fool. It doesn't have Waddingtons on the side. The Fool's not blushing, but it's exactly the same quality in every way. We talked about the beautiful blues. I mean, the blue that's on the Page of Cups here is just, it's not the best lighting either, because it's nighttime here, but it's like electric blue. It's just so vivid. It's better, you know, in real life, off camera, but gorgeous, gorgeous.
All right, Chris, we got you next, Chris Yell. Hello, Chris.
Simon, while I have a second, I just want to say thank you for everything. Also, when I first started watching TarotTube a few years ago, it was through one of the roughest times of my life, and you and Kelly Fitzgerald were just, you lifted me up every time I watched your channel, and I wouldn't be doing a channel now if it weren't for the both of you. So I am really honored for my first live to be sharing space with one of my heroes, Simon. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
So Mendy Mike can guess what my always deck is. I know Jamie Kelly can. Mendy, you got a clue? Is it TDM? Is it RWX?
Oh.
Darkness of Light is my absolute favorite deck of all time. And it was one of the first ones I got when I started collecting tarot again a couple of years ago. So I don't believe in soul decks, but it's my soul deck. We have a polyamorous relationship though. So the box. This is the second edition. I've got the third edition, and the fourth edition I'm hoping to get very soon because all of my friends have it now. And it's going to be on, or it is on, like linen cardstock. And this is in order because I just did a side-by-side with Heaven and Earth the other day. This might be my favorite magician ever. And he's so handsome. I haven't even done a walkthrough myself of this deck yet because I might take up 3 hours. Just the artwork is so refreshing, but it doesn't feel like, it's not modern. It still feels like of a time period. This is one of my favorite Hierophants ever, and I don't like. I'm scared of the Hierophant for all like religious reasons, but I love this one, and I love that the hole in the structure here shows the moon, which harkens back to the High Priestess for me, and reminds me that you have to look beyond structures sometimes as well. I can just go on and on about this deck, but it is my favorite. The colors, some of the faces, it's just, I can tell stories with it, which is the way I like to read. And it's very faithful to the RWS for the most part, just with different images. And the dog throughout the deck. Here he is in the Ten of Cups, or Ten of Coins. And he was in the Fool. He's in the Sun card. And Simon, he's in your favorite card, the Five of Pentacles. That is actually the artist's real dog, Tony DeMauro's real dog. I saw a picture of him with his dog once, and I just love it. I love it, love it, love it. Of course, I'm looking for one. Here we go. Five of Coins.
Mendy said that's your unsold deck.
My unsold deck. Maybe I don't have a soul, so isn't that
I love
dog going into the church, or the house actually. I just love it.
I
Yeah,
never
I love
knew
it.
that dog, the same dog, was in multiple cards.
Yeah, he's on his own little journey throughout the deck. Love it, love it. So
Nice, thank you, Chris. That is a beautiful deck. I'm not one I'm not really familiar with either.
I can tell you all about it.
Mendy, we're coming to you.
Okay, sorry if my dogs start barking because they're just crazy right now. I hate this question. I hate it. And I brought like a million decks here because I didn't even know which one, but I have to go with my Robledo Marcella that Jade already showed. This is my go-to deck. This is everything about this deck I love. Now, I have a similar but better version of it in my new cartogram deck. So this would probably be, even though my Marcella is always my go-to deck, this is the deck that I will never ever part with. And this is exactly like the Marcella, only it has Juno and Jupiter. It's a Bezosol. And it's on handmade cards. And it has all of Pablo's beautiful colors, which he's just such an artist with the colors. And his line work is beautiful. And the cards just are fantastic. The backs are gorgeous. It smells good. I sniff it whenever I pull it out of the box. Everything about this deck is magnificent. And the only thing that would make this better is if Pablo would do a Pope and Papas so I could shuffle them in and out when I wanted to use Marseille or use Bezosol. That would make this really the only deck I ever needed as far as Marseille went. Because his Marcella was just the top. It's the Marseille deck that I always reached for 99% of the time until I got this. And now this is the deck that I reach for unless I specifically want a Marseille and not a Bezosol. So this would be my number one. But again, that's so hard because I have, so many other decks I love. It's a terrible question. It's mean to even ask it. But this is the deck. If my house was on fire and I could only fit one deck in my bag or pocket or whatever, this is the one that I would reach for. Not only because it's wonderful, but because it was so damn expensive. So.
Quick, give it a riffle shuffle and give Robin a heart attack.
Yeah, Robin hates riffle shuffle though. But it was made to be riffle shuffled. I mean, it's just, I don't know if you can hear it.
Uh-oh. Mendy, you're muted.
Cue the band. Da, 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 da.
I hit the mute button when I was riffle shuffling, but it's just, you can.
That just sounds
beautiful.
so delightful, delicious.
And it feels, I mean, it just feels so good in my hands. I just love it. I just touch it and caress it and hold it. And look at beautiful Juno. Isn't she beautiful dancing?
You're killing me, Robin said. Robin's not going to sleep for a month now.
I know.
He's going to have insomnia.
But they're made to be riffle shuffle. And this is made with handmade hemp paper, layered, just like they used to. She does the soaping and the rolling and the pressing and everything. And this paper is meant to last for hundreds of years. And she has a handmade, what is it called, Justin? It's a handmade, not a laminate,
varnish.
Varnish that she puts on it, and that's I think what makes it smell so good. That it just feels so wonderful. I don't have anything else that feels this good.
And Masha got the same one, but on the rice paper version or something.
She got the same one on the rice paper. Yes. Now, we'll see. They're so expensive, but she's supposed to be coming out with a Noble, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do the Noble on rice paper or the hemp paper, because I really do like the darker. So if you look at the colors, like this is the Marcella, and Jade was talking about how it's not on white, it's on that aged kind of a background that really accents the colors. And you can see this matches it very closely, whereas the rice paper is whiter. So I really like the kind of darker background. But yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
Robin wants to know that if it's on rice paper in a pinch, can you eat it?
No, because it's got a varnish on it. I don't think the varnish is edible. Although all of her processes is, she's like gone through all of this ecologically friendly processes. So maybe
I was going to say it's probably organic. So
yeah, everything she uses is organic and ecologically friendly, and she's got a whole thing on her website about that. Of course, it is in French, so you have to translate.
Oh, sorry about that. I hope you were done, Mendy. Jade, sorry. I'm dangerous with this damn thing.
Well, unlike Mendy, I do not sniff my decks. But if my house was on fire, the deck that I would grab, it would be my Soprafino. It's not my most expensive deck, but this one definitely is what I would call it. A piece of my soul deck. I just love everything about it. There's the backs. I love the size. It's very easy for me to shuffle. Everything is so quirky about it as well. Like you can see that the borders are not even, but I love the artwork. I love the colors they've chosen. I even love like they left all the coffee stains or wine stains or whatever they were on the cards. I love that the faces are realistic, unlike some of the Tarot de Marseille decks. I think that's one of my favorite Sun cards. This was on the cards. That's not a stain that I put on. But yeah, I adore this deck. This is definitely the one that I will always be an always deck for me, not just an always right now, because when we came to this prompt, I didn't even have to think twice. This was the one. If I had to expand it to a couple more, that would be more difficult for sure. But yeah, so that's my That's my Pieces of My Soul deck.
It's so beautiful. That was a Simon made me do it purchase. It was my first Italian deck. It was my first Silmanagello deck. I think I got it along with the Corte, whatever that's called. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
The Corti dei Tarocchi.
Yes, thank you.
I have it in front of me. That's the only reason I know.
It's just
Not
so
that smart.
it's so beautiful, and the paper, the cardstock. Thank you, Simon, for making me do it.
Well, I'm so happy that you guys decided to do this. I know the setup is pretty awkward, and this is just like not the most organized thing, but each and every one of you are very important to me, and I appreciate you guys coming on today and doing this with me. So I really, really am happy, and I hope everybody had a good time. I do want to do my drawing, if that's okay. I was just wondering. I have a few trivia questions though, so I figured I put this like sort of just as a kind of backup thing. But I was like, well, I did it. I might as well ask a few. So I found a few of them pretty interesting. But one of them is so on Led Zeppelin 4, the album, it features a trump card. Does anybody know which trump card that is? Guys in the chat. The Hermit. That is correct.
Oh, sorry.
I would hope you would know that. That's really cool. Some of these were really like interesting, but then other ones. Okay, so this one's pretty cool. So the first condemnation of tarot was based on cards tied to A, drinking, B, occultism, or C, gambling.
Gambling.
Yes.
Gambling, yeah.
Now, like these ones are interesting too. So the Queen of Wands may indicate what? A, passion, B, swiftness, or C, your fundamental instinct. It's a little tougher.
I'd say all of the above. If
I
that's
know,
that's
but
an optional
I was
question,
gonna say,
probably the one I would go for.
Passion,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, well, they actually is just wondering. Okay, I see. Melissa said gambling. I think they're like a little behind us though. That was from the last question.
Yeah, there's a
I was trying to
10-second
see.
delay.
Yeah, I was trying to see
Melissa
like.
says fundamental instinct.
Okay, fundamental instinct. Yep, exactly. That's what they said. But I mean, obviously, tarot is a very subjective thing, and it's going to be whatever it means to you. There's no right or wrong answer to these. That's what I found interesting. But okay, so which card may suggest that you are living in fear or domination?
Devil.
A.
Devil.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you got it.
it's
So I don't
blank.
even have to read them. The choices were A, the Hangman, B, the Devil, or C, the Emperor. I thought the Emperor reversed could have been that. You know what I mean? But
kind of a slave to structure and form. Yeah, that's interesting for Emperor.
Here's an interesting one. Simon, hold your ears. This is about Thoth. What is the Thoth equivalent of the Justice card in the RWS? So it's A adjustment, B Aeon, or C Lust.
Chris is the only one that's going to get this.
It's adjustment.
I know. Yeah, it's
The Justice card in RWS.
adjustment.
Adjustment.
That's correct. You are correct. Ding, 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 ding. You win an imaginary case of Hostess Twinkies.
They last forever.
Let's see. So here's one. Okay. Well, that's kind of obvious, that one. Let's see.
I don't mind obvious.
Yeah.
Jamie
All right.
says,
All right.
says Simon.
Yeah. So for how long have tarot cards been used for divination? A, since the 18th century. B, 16th century. C, 15th century. But I added one, okay, because I thought that D, as long as cards have been around.
Well, if it's used for divination, automatically we want to say 15th century, don't we, because of the 1400s? But for divination, that wasn't their original purpose.
No, but they have. They say they have frescoes and paintings of women using them as divination. But you said tarot cards. If you said as long as cards have been around, playing cards were used before tarot cards for divination. So,
Yeah,
I
So-
I
thought
think historically we only have evidence from when the old white guys started writing books about it in the 1850s, right? But I think we all pretty. I would answer D, of course, because I think games to Fate is such an easy transition. You could imagine a bunch of pirates in Marseille sitting around a table, and they might not get up alive, and so you literally are holding your fate in your hand sometimes. And then you can imagine in Victorian times the ladies sitting around playing cards or bridge or whatever they played, and deciding the futures and fates of their children. And I don't know, but yeah, people have used games for divination, and I think it's just almost automatic, I would say. But
If,
evidence wise,
written,
Go ahead,
if I'm
please.
not mistaken, I think the first like actual recorded use of divination, wasn't it the Court de Jablin? If I'm
That's
pronouncing
correct.
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
And also, well, yeah, Le Mans Primitif, and he wrote the book, and then also Attila too, as well, and that like shortly thereafter, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you watch the creator of the Ponce deck, I can't think of his first name. The big blue one that Eve sells, he has a video mapping research. And yes, that's that, Chris. It's Christoph Ponce,
I
right?
think so. Hold on.
And he has a video, and it goes back and it shows frescoes in Italy painted of people not playing a game, but one person reading the cards and other people peering over. And they're saying that is an indication that the original tarot cards were used for divination. And that goes back, I don't even know how long, but that was back in Italy before it even moved into like just on
Well,
before the time.
The answer that the quiz had was 18th century, but I disagree with that because I think that as long as tarot cards were around, which is like what I mean, middle of the 15th century or maybe even earlier. I mean, we don't really know.
Mid 1400s at
Mid 14,
least, right?
yes, yeah. So
and
that
then
would be the 15th century.
playing cards before that they come from the Middle East.
Yeah, the Mamluk.
They come from China. They sacked a city in
Mamluk, right?
Yeah,
Mamluk.
the Chinese card maker, the printers were there, and they sacked the city and forced them to show them how to make cards. And so you had that's how the Chinese, which was originally it's sort of related to the mahjong, and then that's how it filtered in through the Middle East, because then they took it over and started making those, and then it filters into Europe, and then eventually tarot. It's just so fascinating.
I mean, let's be honest. As a species, we've been divining with things since the beginning of time, whether it's clouds
Right.
or sun formation or after the waves.
Entrails.
Yeah. So
My favorite.
deck of cards. They're going to be divination.
Yeah, just like being a kid, like playing with my my playing cards. I used to do simple before I even knew what a divination was. I was doing yes and no things. I think it's just a natural thing, like to do divination. Even for a kid. So I would think that there was kids somewhere, like when tarot first came out or whatever, doing that yes and no kind of thing. So probably as long as tarot's been around, I think, and even before that, with playing cards and so forth.
I think the difficulty would have been that in the 1700s, the cards were probably very difficult. Like they weren't something that was around for everyone, right? Like just too expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm I who knows, but I totally agree with you. I mean, people have been divining with everything, anything that they could. So if they had access to cards, I wouldn't be surprised if they used them for divination.
When I was a kid, when I got near the end of my Cheerios and I had maybe a couple of dozen floating around, I would stir it up and let them just kind of coalesce until they kind of clump together, and I would just make pictures out of those things. And I'm like, I could do divination by Cheerios now. Who needs Stevie
Cheerios,
creating?
Or the alphabets.
Video.
Oh, that would be great.
Try to make spell words.
Words, yeah.
So here's an interesting question that is sort of related to what we're talking about. Some researchers have connected tarot to A, chess, B, dominoes, or C, Makruk, which I'm not sure of which it even is, but I'll give you a hint. It's not that one. So chess or dominoes, tarot.
I would guess dominoes, if dominoes might have some relation to mahjong. I don't know.
It's actually chess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The court, I guess.
You're talking the game, right? The
Yeah.
game of Taroki, I
Yeah.
think was a a game of strategy.
But also think about the characters, right? You have the knight, you have the queen, you have the king, you have the pawn, which could be like the fool, sort of, right? You have the bishop, which is the hierophant. It's like I never, I thought that was very interesting, but and like
You
Jade
even
was
have a
saying,
tower. You even have a tower.
yes, the tower. Yep, the tower. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting too. Here's another one. What kind of animal made up the suits in the first tarot? If you're a fan of Robert M. Place, you will know this. A, reptile, B, fish, or C, birds?
See.
Kind of challenging.
See.
Anybody else?
I think I got it.
Yeah. The Marziano tarot is the used birds.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do I have any more that are interesting? Okay, here's one for Simon. And I added one also. I kind of improvised here. Who is responsible for creating the most influential deck of all time? A, Waite, B, Crowley, C, Lee J. McCluskey. Actually, I added two. D, Pixie Smith, or E, both A and D.
Don't
Yeah, Pixie, right?
go
It's
with
interesting.
Edward Waite. Don't credit him.
I know.
No.
I feel like I was just telling somebody about that the other day. I was like, I'm not even sure if he understood his own deck, like the deck that has his name. Because if you read his book, it's like I'm not sure if he was really like on the same page as Pixie. I just remember that. But
Do you ever wonder what the deck would have looked like if he had just fucked off and left her alone and let her completely do her own thing? Because I think he had a lot of sway over the majors, didn't he? So I wonder, and it's just popped into my head there, but I wonder what the deck would look like if Waite just left her to it.
He gave
I
her
think it
more
would
free reign with the
extremely
mind.
different.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure Simon you have, but if you've seen any of Pixie's other artwork, it's very different.
Yeah.
Like very different. And I love her artwork, her non-tarot artwork a lot more.
It's almost otherworldly to me.
Yeah.
It's almost dreamy. It's very interesting. Very nice.
I've never thought of it like that, Chris. I've often thought about what would it have been like if he'd chosen somebody else, to do the artwork, and what sort of Rider-Waite tarot we'd have then. But I've never actually thought about it as if he hadn't been involved. So that's really a tip for me.
Didn't he have another deck that he did with a different artist?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And it was completely unpopular.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I have the book somewhere. Yeah, they talk about that in the book. It's never. I don't know if it was printed or it was printed in a small scale, like just for an organization. What was it? The Golden Dawn or the Rosy Cross or one of them organizations? I think it was printed for. Yeah, it's kind of like the Pope commissioning Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel. Like the Pope probably gave him specific instructions. I want the scene of creation or whatever. But Michelangelo put so many non-religious symbols in that painting that were still like kind of working out.
He hated every second of painting the Sistine Chapel. I did of course, I'm lit major. I did a paper one time on his sonnets, and he has more than one where they're hilarious. He's just complaining about being on his back all night and paint dripping in his eyes. He hated every second of it.
Man, I've been there several times, and if that's what he produced when he hated what he was doing,
his I mean, the paintings are so 3D and sculptural, but he was a sculptor first, and so he brought that into his painting. His sculptures are just they just take my breath away. The movement, the pietà, just gorgeous.
Yeah, we don't really know that kind of talent today. You know, those guys, those people, those guys, as in men and women in those days, were educated in a way that we just don't really know. You know, they spoke Latin and Greek. They were educated in philosophy. They could do so many different things. It's like, I don't know if we could ever produce like that kind of person again, like a Da Vinci or a Michelangelo. Be nice if we could. You know, maybe it's like Elon Musk today or somebody like that. You know,
Fancy.
yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Well, I guess it's getting close to 10:30 UK time. So just before we go, I want to do the drawing for my giveaway here. And what I'm using to do the drawing is the knockoff version that I accidentally received on eBay.
Oh no!
So I ordered this a long time ago, before I even knew what this deck was. The Light Visions, I guess it's called. Is it not the Light Vision? The Prisma Visions. And I just saw it and I was like, wow, it's a beautiful deck. It was on eBay. So I get the deck and I'm like looking at it, and it's, you know, it's playing card size. It's a little longer than playing card size, and it's but it's smaller. But I knew right away it was a knockoff. So I messaged the guy, the person that sold me that, and I complained, but it was someone in China, I think, and I don't think they understood what I was saying, and they sent me another deck. Like I was saying, this is like clearly a knockoff. So they're like, okay, let's send him another one. So that was their solution. So I ended up with two knockoff decks that have been in my bin for a while, and I figured I would use it for this drawing. So I wrote everybody's name, who's in the. I can show you this way, who's involved in here. I wrote it, and so I'm going to draw it. And I guess this will operate as both a reading and a drawing. You know what I mean? So I'm going to shuffle. Oh, by the way, in case for those in the chat, I'm giving away this. It's a deck by Octavio Perez and Pablo Robledo, the Nicholas Rollicon, which is a historic Tarot de Marseille. It's a majors only with the 4 aces and the 2 of Pentacles. So, plus I've included some other knickknacks, possibly depending on where it's being shipped and if I can fit it. So you'll be surprised with some other things in there as well, hopefully.
Justin, thanks so much for having us all on and for inviting me on. And happy channelversary. And
thank you, Chris.
This was very fun. We should start having like a tarot Jeopardy night or something.
Yeah, let's do it. That would be fun. Yeah, I'm glad you guys all came on, man. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Good fun.
I want to shuffle
like a
this
trivia night at a bar, only do it all on YouTube.
Exactly. We'll just have to we'll have to delete the video the next day, though. If alcohol is involved, we'll just do the live and then whoop.
we need 3 more people, and then we can do the Brady Bunch.
Okay. Oh, we got a jumper. That's it. That's going to be it. Oh, cool. It's Lazy Genius Tarot Bazaar. Alex, my friend Alex. Wow, he jumped right out of there. Congratulations, Alex. Alex just started a new channel. He's a really nice guy. He lives out in Vegas area, and he does some walkthroughs and stuff. And he's a member of the Hermits Cave. I actually met him through the Hermits Cave, and just a really, really nice guy. So congratulations, Alex. I think I already have your address, so I don't even have to get that from you. which is pretty cool. And that thing
Did
just
you say
flew
his
out.
channel name?
Yeah, Lazy Genius Tarot and Bazaar is the name of his channel. Oh, that's pretty cool. Congratulations,
He
Alex.
has a different name on Facebook, right? It starts with a T.
Yes, and it's a weird, hard. I don't want to say weird, but it's a strange, hard name to pronounce for me. It's almost people are gonna kill me now. I said that. I just meant it's like TNZOK something. Couldn't figure out how
But
to.
he's been active. He's been very active on the Hermit's Cave lately.
Yeah, and I'm also going to include some incense. So Dia de Muertos, and I have a smudge kit, which actually includes a shell too. There's a seashell in there. There's some sage. There's a feather in here, and there's also some Palo Santo too. So now that I know that he's only across the entire United States, I can include that in there. I was just worried about maybe Europe or like somewhere even further, like India or somewhere, if I would have to kind of ship a small package, if I would be able to fit everything, but I would have did my best to do that. So, but anyway, I want to thank everybody in the chats also, and sorry for the lack of interaction tonight, but we were playing games and so forth, and I'm just getting used to interacting with the chats also. So I appreciate you guys as well, and thank you everybody for coming on tonight. It was really special for me, and I love every one of you guys, and I appreciate you. So, anybody want to say anything?
Justin? And I don't think there's been a lack of interaction at all, to be honest. I'm really impressed at how you've managed to handle the sixes, well, the five of us, and keep us in check and all that kind of thing.
Oh.
Even that young Chris, do you know what I mean? You've managed to keep him quiet for, to let
Well,
the rest of us speak.
I had the band ready. You know, I was going to like cue the band when Chris is going on about
James,
Thank you very much for having me.
any of you watch the FX show, What We Do in the Shadows? Colin Robinson's the energy vampire, boring as hell, and that's how he drains people. James, my partner, the other night, I was going on about something probably terror related, and he's like, "All right, Colin Robinson." And I had to give it to him. That was hilarious.
Don't worry, Chris.
I think many of us have partners that feel that way.
I love your 2-hour walkthroughs. Don't worry about it.
I have got to get them shorter. I am so impatient with the upload time. I'm aiming for 20 minutes next time.
The last one, it was really. I actually liked that deck. I ended up buying the playing card deck though. I didn't buy the what was it? What was the last one that you did?
The Keymaster.
Yeah, they have a playing card one too.
The House of Rising Spade playing card.
Oh man, is that nice? That's such a nice deck. Really is.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
It's my pleasure, and thank you again for coming on. And in the words of Chris Kelly, I'm going to love yous and leave yous. Thanks, everyone.
Birthdays, many more years of your channel too.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks, everyone. Be well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.